In the early hours, we meet up with the convoy. It has continued to advance through the desert towards its goal and is just 150 kilometers from Menaka now. The civilian trucks may be well guarded, but there is always the risk of a flat tire or blowout. The convoy cannot stop if a tire blows. It has to be repaired fast under the escort's protection. In the wet season, the desert's wadis, ponds, and muddy terrain are so many natural obstacles for the vehicles. The VHM, or High Mobility Vehicle, is a 14-ton armored vehicle with 4 tracks. It can go almost anywhere and is immune to flat tires. This amphibious vehicle can go through 1.4-meter deep wadis with water halfway up the door and the engine completely submerged. The climate in Mali makes life hard for the troops and plays havoc with their equipment. The troops risk their lives on the ground. The military medical personnel are always on hand to provide assistance. For this incredible deployment of force to be possible, the health of the men and women deployed on Operation Barkhane is a priority, which is why one job has always been of vital importance on military operations: nursing. Menaka Camp Infirmary. 30-year-old Warrant Officer Marion is a nurse in the Burkina Desert Tactical Group. Her day has only just begun, but a patient already needs her care. At Operation Barkhane's camps, the presence of military nurses and doctors is crucial. As well as being a nurse, Marion is a fully deployable soldier, trained, equipped, and armed. She can be deployed on the ground at any time to come to the aid of victims. With the heat and the desert sand, cleaning wounds is vital to avoid infection.
The door of an APC.
A few days ago, medical assistant Jacques had an accident on a mission. The door of an armored vehicle slammed shut on his hand. Marion has to change his dressing.
I pressed it hard to stop the bleeding, and I ran.
Was it bleeding heavily?
Yes, it was starting to bleed loads.
Jacques required 19 stitches. Fortunately, the nerves were not damaged, and he can still use his hand.
We're level 3 tactical first responders, so we're at the same level as the doctors. But we have additional training, which means that we can perform duties that we could not perform in France.
In theaters of operations, combat casualty care is administered in extreme conditions. All equipment must be tailored to the environment. Marion shows us an MTV, an armored medical treatment vehicle, an ambulance designed specifically for military operations.
So this is the interior of an MTV. At the back, there's the stretcher and just 2 seats. I'm deployed where there's a possibility of casualties, that is, with the forward forces. Of all the troops, they're the most exposed to danger. Deployed the most often, their heads out, and vulnerable. So we nurses are with those units to be as close as possible to the action.
Over a 4-month period, military medical personnel like Marion, or SAN in French military jargon, are deployed on ground missions when not on call at the base. This morning, Marion has joined the Noir Tactical Group for a flank guard mission to provide security to the front and flanks of the convoy. But will she be as at ease as she is with her first aid kit? They drive by a village to make sure no terrorist vehicles are readying to attack the approaching convoy, which is just a few kilometers away. Such operations are conducted off-road to reduce the possibility of hitting an improvised explosive device. Before rejoining the convoy, the unit conducts a sweep of a predefined zone. Satellite and drone intelligence has indicated unprecedented call activity in the region. The enemy is nearby. The generals give the order to continue the search on foot. The objective is clear: track down and disarm terrorist groups, take their ground at all costs. In some areas, vegetation provides the best camouflage for the enemy. Merging with the surroundings, they become invisible. Nurse Marion patrols on the front line alongside her unit. She is first and foremost a soldier, and in her capacity as a nurse, will tend the wounded if need be.
So we're an integral part of the group in which we operate. So they're one person down, and we have a duty to fill that gap.
This is a high-risk zone. The heat, the long hours walking, and the intense concentration take their toll on the body and mind.
I was trained to be a combatant, to get out there, station myself. It's our duty to continue to do that even as a medic. We're not conditioned to just keep to our area of expertise.
These missions can last several days without interruption.
We are at the front of the detachment, which means a person has a better chance of being saved in a life-threatening situation.
During the search of the village, weapons and telecommunications devices are seized. In an exchange of fire, 5 terrorists are killed and a soldier sustains gunshot wounds. He requires emergency medical evacuation via helicopter.
Once we've stabilized a patient and they're transportable, we rush them on a stretcher to the chopper. This medevac helicopter will take them back to Gao.
A Cayman helicopter with an emergency doctor on board picks up the wounded soldier. With an injury to the leg, this young soldier will be treated at the surgical unit in Gao. His injury is not life-threatening. The French army has lost 50 soldiers since the launch of Operation Barkhane in 2013. On the ground, the operation continues. The unit must secure the convoy at all costs. But danger does not always come from the enemy. Nature occasionally takes the troops by surprise and brings their vehicles to a grinding halt.
Stop!
At this time of year, as the wet season draws to an end, the ground appears to be dry on the surface, but underneath it is waterlogged. There is a serious risk of getting stuck. A vehicle gets bogged down, its 15 tons of steel sink into the mud. A strategy is needed fast, and extra pairs of hands, too.
The vehicle got bogged down because the ground is too wet, so we're going to work together to free it.
At the same time, the unit must protect itself and secure the area. The JTAC who liaises between the convoy and the air support informs the Mirage 2000s of the situation.
Mirage 13, new position for air support on JTAC 15. Transmission of coordinates in progress.
Mirage 13, roger that.
As a precaution, the fighter jets are deployed to provide a presence. The surveillance is total. No armed enemy group is in sight. Other soldiers come lend Marianne's unit a hand with shovels and a special metal plate to try to get the vehicle out as quickly as possible. A chainsaw is used to cut pieces of wood, which are then wedged under the wheels to provide grip. Marianne ditches her bulletproof vest and medical kit to help her colleagues. Some locals appear on the horizon. This is their home. They cultivate this land. But jihadists have been known to disguise themselves as farmers and mingle with the local population, so the danger is often invisible.
It makes you realize that if you think about the dangers 24/7, you'll never do a good job. You'll never be focused on your work. This is my first mission, my first overseas operation. I was really apprehensive about having to go overseas for the first time. You get used to it, though.
But things go from bad to worse. The truck towing the armored vehicle gets stuck in the mud, too.
This one's okay. Dig. Dig properly. So the wheels are completely free of the mud.
It is 45 degrees in the sun. For a unit exhausted by 2 weeks on the ground, getting their vehicles stuck just 10 kilometers from their destination makes the job seem even harder. The team makes a last-ditch effort to free the truck. But it's no use. They have to dig some more. 30 meters away, the protection teams remain on the alert to keep the group safe from harm. Marion and her brothers-in-arms soldier on. Even after an hour of effort and failed attempts, the group's fighting spirit is undiminished. The truck is finally freed. Another truck joins it. Together, they will tow the armored vehicle.
Do we tow it in forward? No, in reverse, always. You should be at an angle. What? You should be at an angle. Yeah, okay.
Success. The nightmare's over. The unit can continue back to base at Menaka. One last push in the right direction and they're off.
Let's go home.
Marion climbs back in for the last few kilometers, proud to have proved her worth as a soldier on the ground. Military life is no picnic. How does she cope as a wife and young mother?
The hardest thing is being away from my family. I'm the mom of a young child who isn't really talking yet, so it's really hard. But you adapt. You have to try not to think about it when you're overseas, or you can't focus properly on your mission.
With the local community providing care and protection on the ground and in the air, the women of Operation Barkhane use their skills to work for peace.
We're still a minority. The first woman pilot joined the squadron just 10 years ago, so we aren't many. There aren't as many girls, of course, but I think that they come out. They're just as motivated, and they do their job just as well as the men. So there's honestly no difference on that score.
I think that it changes their attitude a bit to see that we're here on the ground with them for 3 weeks and that we can adapt. We have different constraints to them. It makes them realize that we're just as capable as them at coping with certain challenges, with operational constraints.